Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope y'all had a great weekend overall, man. I figured I'd tap in with y'all to discuss what's currently going on in the sport of boxing. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,400 mark, looking to crack that 3,500 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe button. We giving you guys no filter, no cap boxing talk on a daily basis. You see what I'm saying? So I had a lot of people reach out to me on IG, man. Shout out to the Instagram family. Shout out to the nation. You know, the group chat on Instagram and stuff like that. It's a very informative chat. We got some humor. We got some things on there. But one thing that the chat's going to do is keep you informed. But prior to the chat speaking about the situation, I was hearing Chris Manning's talk on the zone. Shout out to Arnold Barbosa. Kenneth Sims put on a great fight. You know what I'm saying? Gabriela Fundora did her thing. Oscar Collazo. I mean, it was a couple stoppages. It was a solid Golden Boy card. But Chris Mannings was out there talking his talk, and he had heard some rumblings that unified junior middleweight champion of the world right now, Xander Zayas, is in preliminary talks with Jaron Ennis. You see what I'm saying? So Jaron Ennis, when he had put that tweet out and let it be known that he's moving on from the Virgil Ortiz situation, which is quite unfortunate to be real. That's one of the biggest fights to be made in boxing, but legal issues do happen in the sport, unfortunately, so Virgil has to sit down until that's figured out. But, when Jaron Ennis had put out that tweet, he ended that tweet with saying, two-weight division champion coming soon. Now, when I had heard that, just me, being informed with what's out here as of right now, I'm thinking he's talking about Josh Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Josh Kelly is somebody that's in the same promotional stable doing business with Eddie Hearn as Jaron Ennis, and things of that sort. And, there was this thing that was going around in the lead up to the Bachram Josh Kelly fight that if Josh Kelly were to come out victorious, that he had agreed to fight Jaron Ennis next. Now, that ended up being extremely misleading because the reality was Jaron Ennis was just one option. He wasn't. They made it seem like he was the only option, but he was only one of very few options, right? And when you're thinking about things in a smart way, especially as somebody who looks to retain their title, Jaron Ennis is a very dangerous first title defense. You know what I'm saying? So Josh Kelly, it seems like they're backtracking on things. It seems like they just want to fight in the UK and get a couple dollars before they go ahead and roll that dice in a dangerous fight. Xander Zayas, on the other hand, it looked like he was trying to explore the Josh Kelly fight. But I think, and this is what I've heard, I'm not sure, but they couldn't agree to a location. Xander wants it in like New York or Puerto Rico. Josh Kelly wants it to be in the UK. So the setting in itself, is probably the reason why they can't follow through with the whole fight and stuff like that. And that would have been big for 154. But, things happen. It is what it is. So Chris Mannings put it out there. Jaron Ennis, Xander Zayas in preliminary talks. Now, I've seen a lot of people jumping out the window like, oh, my God, this fight is happening next. And look, I love the optimistic boxer fan. You know what I mean? It's a great mentality to have. But I've been in the sport for some years now. And I know I understand that I'm young, but I'm a vet when it comes to this shit, bro. And one thing I do know is that preliminary talks don't always lead to a fight being finalized. It's actually more common that preliminary talks fall through in comparison to, the fight actually being made. Now, for those of y'all who don't know what preliminary talks is, it's basically when, phone calls are had and they're just having discussions as to whether, both sides are interested. Can they reach a common ground in terms of like setting, the purse, the network, things of that sort. So it's not like, they agreed the terms and a contract is getting, put together for them to sign. None of that. They're just trying to communicate with each other to see if the fight is actually possible. And I can understand why some people are being optimistic because you could honestly say if Xander or Jaron Ennis wasn't interested at all, it wouldn't even have reached preliminary talks. You see what I'm saying? So I guess that's one way to look at it. But, you could always, keep your ears open, but know in the back of your mind that you're not looking to sell this product. In the back of your head that, Jaron Ennis isn't the next fight, that Xander Zayas isn't the next fight. So, that's just how I look at the whole situation. I'm not super optimistic about it. I'm the type person, and I've gotten to this place as a boxing fan, unfortunately, that if, I got to see it to believe it. I need to see it I need to see contracts signed. I need to be seeing press conferences. I need to be seeing media workouts. I need to see them at the weigh-in. And you can't even trust that nowadays because you could pull a Hitchens and not show up after you weigh in. You know what I'm saying? So you never really know with this boxing stuff, man. But the fact that they are speaking to each other, I love it. You know what I mean? That's a great fight for the 154-pound division. A big fight for Jaron Ennis because a lot of the criticism that's been coming Jaron Ennis' way, which I feel like is unfair to be honest with you, but you know what everybody say, oh man, you just defending Boots. And it's not that. It's just we see Jaron Ennis trying to make these big fights happen, but shit falls through. I'm not gonna sit here and criticize him because things didn't go his way. I appreciate the effort. You see what I'm saying? But the criticism with Jaron Ennis is that he can't get a big fight, and myself included, I'm over here putting pressure on Eddie Hearn. Like, bro, the next fight gotta be the best one. Your next move need to be your best move, man. We not gonna settle for less. You know what I mean? We sick of Jaron Ennis not getting these opportunities. So it's good that Eddie Hearn is pushing the envelope in terms of trying to make the Xander Zayas fight. Jaron Ennis is the WBA either interim or regular champ. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it. Xander Zayas is the full status champion in the WBA. So I would love to see, I feel like the fight is going to be called to make, eventually. But if they could get the fight done, right now, that'll be a dope fight for the year of 2026, man. And I understand a lot of people asking me, Mark, so who you rooting for? Xander's Puerto Rican, Jaron Ennis was from Philly. Listen, man, I've always, since I was 17 years old, I always knew that Jaron Ennis was going to be a champion. Not only that, but he's treated me very well in each experience that I've had with him. He's a good brother. He could fight his ass off. He's a special talent. He may possibly be the best fighter in the world. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to back him 100%. I don't have no direct relationship with Xander Zayas or anything like that. Y'all saw I tried to get an interview with the dude, and he just brushed me off. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You're not always going to get a yes. That's just how the game go. But I'm rocking with Jaron Ennis 100%. I hope this, and if this fight does get made, I hope that it's in New York so I'm able to travel there. I would love to travel to New York, see that fight happen, and I'm rooting for Jaron Ennis 1,000%, man. Get my Jaron Ennis t-shirt, the hoodie, depending on the weather. And we going to get this shit popping, man. I really hope that Jaron Ennis gets this opportunity because he definitely needs it. Xander Zayas, if you take that Jaron Ennis fight, you a cold motherfucker, man. For you to go from Jorge Garcia Perez to a Bas Brow who was dangerous in his own right to just jump straight into a Jaron Ennis fight, you a different breed, cuz. And that just goes to show you that Xander just ain't talking. He over here really attempting to put his foot on these motherfuckers' necks, man. So we'll see what happens. It's preliminary talks. That doesn't really give me any sort of confidence or reassurance that the fight is going to happen, but it's a step in the right direction. So I guess I could be optimistic from that point of view. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Xander Zayas, Jaron Ennis, preliminary talks, possibly fighting each other in a unification fight at 154 pounds. Y'all let me know who y'all got, who y'all supporting. Do you think the fight happens? Y'all let me know in the comments below. This is Marcus Rosa, a.k.a. Mazuma TV. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.